Hello and welcome to the Video Game Flashback Podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Video Game Flashback is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. It's a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today as we are moving right along in the autumn season. We go from the Halloween special, moving on into the November special, as we like to do every year, kind of like you could call it the Thanksgiving or November season game. Well, this year I came up with one that tends to fit the time of year, going back into my personal history. A lot of it has to do with that, and obviously with Castlevania, pretty common sense when it comes to Halloween. You got all kinds of those classic horror genre type series or movies or whatever the heck you want to do to put it all together. In this case, though, last year you noticed it was Mega Man 1 from Capcom, of course, with the NES. That's a classic November-ish kind of game. Well, this time around, it is another one, kind of leading into the November and then leading into the Christmas holiday season, we can call it. Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of that. We're going to go to the Game Boy this time around. Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge on Game Boy. You must be thinking, the Game Boy Mega Man? Yeah, the Game Boy Mega Man. Well, I'm kind of depressed in a way. You could say Minnesota teams just don't win championships very often. All we had going for us is a non-core 4 sports team, the Minnesota Lynx, winning titles, and they just recently lost the WNBA final in a fifth and deciding game into overtime period. That was pretty depressing. So this one takes me back to 1991, right as the Twins were winning the World Series, and they had beaten the Atlanta Braves in Game 7 in an epic, close 7th game. It's the last major sports championship we've had here in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota. That's, of course, where your host, myself, Joey Awajan, a video game flashback, comes from, is Minnesota. So this one kind of brings back those wonderful memories. That's when the game came out, and that's when I was playing it. The Twins were, celebrating a world championship in 1991. So that's kind of where we're going, and it's actually a pretty fun game. You can get significantly into the game, but once you get to the Dr. Wily stages, the difficulty really tends to ramp up. So once again, we're going to cite Wikipedia for this general information as we do the introduction and then jump into the game review. So Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge, also known as Mega Man in Dr. Wily's Revenge, or in Japan, Rockman World, is an action platform video game by Capcom for the Nintendo Game Boy. It is the first game in the handheld series of the Mega Man franchise. So yes, I was extremely excited. Around that time, 90 to 91, I had recently really gotten into Mega Man. I was kind of what at the time you could call a late bloomer. Now it's like, well, that's a long time ago. But back then, Mega Man had already been out. They'd already been up to Mega Man 3 by 1990. And I still remember renting Mega Man 3. We'll get back to that one very soon, and I'll probably get back into the story. But I just fell in love with it. And wow. So the first Mega Man game I ever played was Mega Man 3. And then years later, Mega Man 2. But before that, this actually was the second Mega Man game I'd ever actually played, I do believe. I actually had not played Mega Man 2 yet, which is really kind of weird and hard to believe. But the character looked exactly like the Mega Man 3 version of Mega Man, like the character, the box art, the graphics and all that, or the graphic on the box. The word Mega Man looked pretty much different than anything I'd ever seen before. But it was exciting. Wow, I'm going to finally have a Mega Man game in my possession. It's actually the first Mega Man game I ever owned. Ever. Because Mega Man 3 was still $50 frickin' at Target. Mega Man 2 was $40 frickin' at Target. And I think Mega Man 1, if I remember correctly, was really expensive at Funko Land. Because it was kind of rare at the time. So, it was, extremely frustrating. Am I ever going to get to have a freaking Mega Man game? And then this one was $29.99. Brand new, $29.99 rather than $49.99 for the one I really wanted, which was Mega Man 3. I just looked at that thing hanging there at Target every single time we went to Target. It was like once a week, once every 2 weeks, and it'd be hanging there. $49.99. And $50 back in 1991 was a lot of money. It's more than it is now. It's like about $90 to $100, if I remember correctly. In fact, I might even do it right here, right now. And of course, I'll probably do it again when I do a Mega Man 3 review, which might be just 2 reviews away if my plan continues in the direction I'm thinking. I will not tell you what my Christmas one is, but I've definitely already decided, unless that's for some strange reason I changed my mind at the last second. So we'll see. Would like to get this inflation thing going. 1991 worth today. Holy Toledo, $115.75. That's a lot of money, folks. That's a lot of money. $115.75. So yes, you can imagine how frustrating it was looking up there and seeing it hanging there for 50 frickin' bucks. Now, is it a game that I would probably pay that if I had the money? Yeah. Oh yeah, back then, you betcha. Nowadays, thank God for emulation, but I also did get it from Funcoland years later for, I think it was like $15, and I was just like, oh my, like I was just shaking. Or no, maybe it was 20. I can't remember exactly, but I was just shaking. I was almost convulsing. I finally have it. And then it's like, finally could play the game I loved so much. But this one was the substitute for the time being. So naturally, I was extremely excited. Continuing. This game was released in Japan it was released in Japan on July 26th, 1991, but of course I didn't know about it because they didn't have Nintendo Power at that time. I'm sure at the time it was being advertised like, oh, there it is on the Game Boy, here it is. And it was localized in North America that December and in Europe the following year. So the twins were celebrating a world championship, and of course we had a ton of snow on the ground by this time. That was not going away. A lot of snow, because we had a 30-inch snowfall on Halloween that year. Very famous up in these neck of the woods. Up in this neck of the woods here. So this game continues the adventures of the android hero Mega Man as he once again confronts the evil Dr. Wily, who has dispatched his revived robot masters and a new Mega Man killer named Anchor. Okay? Dr. Wily's Revenge is an action and platform game in the same vein as the Nintendo Entertainment System Mega Man games. The player is tasked with completing a series of 4 stages in any order desired. Beating a stage's boss will earn the player a special weapon that can be selected at will and used throughout the rest of the game. Dr. Wily's Revenge specifically takes components of the original Mega Man and Mega Man 2, including their enemies, stage aesthetics, and robot masters. Yep, the stage aesthetics, like it's Iceman, it looks like Iceman's stage. And yes, you will hear the Iceman music, the Mega Man 1 music at the very least. Mega Man 2, unfortunately, those characters were just, when you get further in the game, it's kind of a spoiler alert, but instead of actual stages after you beat the first 4, they're in the Wily stage. Remember in the Wily stage where you fight a bunch of robot masters, like in all the different games, like you get to refight against Shadow Man and so on and so forth. Or in Mega Man 2, Metal Man and Flash Man, you refight all the masters. In this one, it's just those Mega Man 2 characters. And then Bob Man and Guts Man get the shaft. None of them got to be in any handheld Game Boy game at all. So I didn't get to see Bomb Man until I actually played Mega Man 1 years later, which is really sad. And of course, Guts Man, who arguably is the best music of all of them in the first Mega Man. The only other argument for me would be Elect Man. You'll notice both of those songs play at the end of every Brave the Wild episode in, for my Brave the Wild podcast, Minnesota Wild Conversation. According to the series artist, Keiji Inafune, Dr. Wily's Revenge was the first Mega Man game to be outsourced to a developer separate from Capcom. Interesting. Critical reception for the game has been favorable, and most sources have denoted it as a competent, if excessively difficult, yes it was, portable version of the popular NES series. Dr. Wily's Revenge was a bestseller and spawned 4 sequels of its own on the Game Boy, many of which follow in trend of reusing elements from their home console counterparts. Yep, and that's true. Like Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, so on and so forth. We'll review those probably not too long from now. Yeah, so you will see all those characters in portable form. Like say, obviously see on this one it was like, we'll talk about the characters when it comes to it. But the other Mega Man 2 characters and then some Mega Man 3 characters get added on in the Mega Man 2 and the Game Boy. So, yes. We'll review that one probably not too far from now. Anyhow, in 2011, Dr. Wily's Revenge was made available as a virtual console launch title on Japan's Nintendo eShop for the Nintendo 3DS. I never played that one. Bummer. But then again, I didn't have the 3DS. I just had the DS. Bummer, man. I wouldn't have minded seeing that. But I'll probably look it up here sometime during the course of this review. It also appeared in the PAL region and North America eShops later. So we'll look at the basic information. Developer Minkuchi Engineering, publisher Capcom, and then the European Union is just Nintendo. Producers Tokuro Fujiwara, that sounds very familiar. Designers Masashi Kato. Programmers Masatsugo Shinuhara, and then artist Keiji Inafune, Hayato Kaji, Miki Kajima, Etsuko Taniguchi. Composers Makoto Tomozawa. Series Mega Man, platformers Game Boy, released Japan July 26, 1991, North America December 1991, European Union in July 10th, 1992. Action platformer, single player, yes. So set in the 21st century, 2000X, not even 2010X, weird. So just like it could have been anywhere from 2000 to 2009. Interesting. That'd be quite an accomplishment when you consider. So, but yeah, in 1991, I guess a lot of people thought, boy, oh boy, we're going to be futuristic by 2005. Wow. Well, boy, were we wrong, huh? I mean, things were more futuristic, sure, especially by 2007, 8, and all the smartphone nonsense. But yeah, smartphones are nice and everything, but they aren't quite Android-level technology, are they? Mega Man, Dr. Wily's Revenge follows the storyline of the original Mega Man series. The titular protagonist, Mega Man, a super robot created by benevolent Dr. Light, has restored peace to the world by halting the plans of the evil Dr. Wily and his powerful robot masters. In Dr. Wily's Revenge, the mad scientist returns to send 8 of his old robot masters to contend with the hero once again. After vanquishing 4 robot masters, Mega Man heads to Wily's fortress and deals with the remaining half of them. So that's Mega Man 2 characters. We'll talk about them when we get there. The protagonist then battles a new robot designed for solely destroying him, the Mega Man killer, Anchor. As Mega Man defeats Anchor and obtains his Mirror Buster ability, interesting, Wily retreats to a space station. Mega Man gives chase and using the Mirror Buster to destroy Wily's newly built final weapon. After putting a stop to his nemesis once again, Mega Man travels back home via space shuttle. Isn't that precious? So, yep, that's kind of the general concept of this one. A lot of this other stuff I'd probably just be repeating myself over and over again, but yep, you'll get a lot of the familiar stuff from Mega Man 1, like disappearing blocks and Electman and Iceman stages. And the music will be consistent with the NES, but Game Boy version. And you'll be surprised, actually, how good they sound. So, looking forward to this one very much so, even though it's an extremely hard game. So with that, I think I will get your stuff ready, and let's get on with this review. Mega Man, Dr. Wily's Revenge on Game Boy. All right, well, first things first, game start, and then we see the the select screen, and you get to hear a fairly epic song, I guess, for the most part. Check it out. Honestly, not bad at all. So your choices again are Cutman, Iceman, Electman, and Fireman. Well, Fireman. And no, he's not the type of fireman that puts fires out. He's the type of fireman that causes fires. They might as well call him Arsonist Man. Well, against all sanity, we're going to start off with Electman and hear one of the coolest songs in the entire game, if not the coolest song in the entire game. Yes, sir. Electman, you get what looks like stars floating down in the background. And yeah, the song is incredible. The background is, well, it looks like Electman's stage in the Game Boy, but definitely it's different because it's got the Airman type of fans that blow you backwards. And you got the appearing and disappearing platforms like the NES version, but definitely the Airman part is different. Yeah, you already got the appearing and disappearing platforms. The beginning, they open up pretty much with it in the beginning of this level, which is pretty mean. But it's kind of slow and not that scary to start things off. You get the electric stuff, you have to wait for the timing and all of that. So there's that. Not the easiest stage ever, but certainly not the hardest if you just want to continue. For the record, I'm playing this on the NES Mini, so hopefully there isn't too much of a delay as I'm playing. I played the previous Game Boy games on here, but not as difficult type of a Game Boy game as this one. Mario Land 2 is not quite as, you have to be super precise with everything, your timing, so hopefully this works out fine. Somehow, some way, they made the sound of the electric, bolts, whatever, to sound pretty much exactly like the NES, so it's kind of impressive that they pulled that off. I don't know how they did onto a Game Boy, but it's kind of cool. The first really hard part is where you have to deal with the appearing, disappearing platforms. Now you think it's simple because it's pretty much straightforward, you could say, but there's a fan. What the heck, really? A fan and appearing and disappearing platforms this early in the game? Yep. And because the damn things take forever to disappear and reappear, it can throw you off, and it's insanely easy to make a mistake where you fall down to the next screen and you get hit by lightning bolts. It's just stupid. Once you get that through that stupid screen, you get the suction cup looking characters from Mega Man 1 that move in straight lines, basically, like from right to left or from up to down, that kind of thing. Whatever their mission is, so to speak, up and down. When their eyes open, they move. When their eyes are closed, they're not moving. Yeah, it's pretty simple, straightforward. Not the easiest thing in the world, but not the hardest either. Then you get up into the clouds, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of like Mega Man meets Airman. It's weird, because I don't remember this being in the Electman stage in Mega Man 1. This is kind of like Airman mixed with Electman, is what I'm trying to say. If I said Mega Man and Airman, Electman and Airman. I guess lightning comes from clouds, so I guess. This is where like Metal Man's shots would come in really handy right now, shooting in all different directions. But guess what? I don't have the metal shot. No, I don't have the metal shot right now. No, I don't have it at all. I don't think Metal Man's in this game. No. The sound effect of your shot, the Mega Buster, I guess as they call it, not the one that charges up in the future games, which I'm not a fan of that. I'm not. All that ended up doing was making enemies' defense stronger. Like, what's the point? It's kind of like raising everyone's wage. Well, then everything gets more expensive. Yeah, you're not really improving anything. It's kind of dumb. It was kind of nice when, say, if you make $3 an hour in hot dogs at a baseball game, or 25 cents versus $25. Makes more sense, right? Instead of making $30 and paying 20. Okay, I'm just kidding. But yeah, something like that. I know now I'm pissing you off, but some of you. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sometimes things should be left alone though. Like the Mega Buster getting that charged up shot in the future games. Not a fan. But yeah, the sound effect of the shot in this game, kind of lame. The animation kind of choppy as well in the clouded area with the Lightning Lord guys. And let me tell you, some of the jumps in this game are kind of what they are. It's kind of like the old, the only way to do it is to bleeping do it. You know what I mean? Like, why wait and hesitate and get worried when you can just kind of move on? There's a bit of that. Like, say, the appearing, disappearing. Why wait for the next path if you can somehow reach the ladder? There's a part like that. And then you get the fan with the lightning bolts and the instant kill spikes. Yeah. Just wonderful, absolutely wonderful, just exquisite part of the game. Love that they included that in here. It's just thanks, guys. That's not double trouble, that's triple trouble. Triple. Have mercy. Yes, the hard hats make an appearance, and sometimes the only way to trigger them is to jump towards them. Ugh, come on, just open up, you son of a... Ah, yes, who can forget the climbing the long ladder with the electricity in the back and the side, whatever, hitting you. It's just thanks. I just love that kind of stuff too. I really missed that for Mega Man 1. I missed it so much, so thank you for including that. Well, of course they did. And once you get through climbing up the ladder, where you have multiple stuff to deal with, you deal with the climbing the ladder, going past electricity twice. The suction cup enemies aren't so bad on the way up, because luckily the panels on the side do not have electricity. That would be insanely cruel to even think of doing that. I'm surprised they didn't. But you get the large trampoline pogo guy with an eye. I don't know, it's a large giant robot that jumps up and down, and he's in Mega Man 1. Yeah, you get to see him. After you get past that guy, just kind of keep firing your bullets. You'll run into a couple of hard hats and meet up with your first boss, and you get to hear the boss music now and Electman himself. Ah, yes, Electman. Well, if you had the cut shot or the cut boomerang, you'd be able to beat him easily. But unfortunately, we don't have the cut shot or the cut boomerang, is what it really is, yet. So, well, you got to do it with your regular shots. Not the easiest battle in the world, is it? But what did you expect? You know, you're starting things out. It's fairly mobile. Just kind of do the best you can, I guess. Just kind of time your shots, and I don't know. He's not as aggressive as I expected him to be. Seemed to be more aggressive in the NES version, but by then, oftentimes you'd have the cut, and you'd beat him quite easily, the cut boomerang. Thankfully, if you die, you wind up thankfully if you die, you wind up right outside the door, so it's not as bad as it could be, that type of thing. So, because odds are, by the time you get to him, you're not going to have that many, you're not going to have that much energy, and unfortunately, there are no energy tanks in this game, just like they weren't in Mega Man 1. Boo. I would say the best way to beat Electman is to get him in the air. Kind of keep jumping as you're shooting, and he'll kind of respond to you, and you get to hear the little victory music, and to get the the Thunder Beam, which is a nice weapon, obviously, just like in Mega Man 1. We talked about that a year ago around this time. It has the same pattern where it kind of goes up and down, into the top and the bottom, that type of thing. It's a 3-shot that goes all over the place. But yeah, enjoy the victory music, and we'll move on here. Yes, they give you a password system, so if you want to draw up that tic-tac-toe looking grid, you can do that, put little dots in if you want to be old school with the cute little, tiny little binder that I used to have, the tiny, cute little note binder thingy. That was like, what, I don't know, it was like a 3x2 or 3x1 type of thing. I don't know what the heck it is, 4x2, who knows? I'm not thinking right, but yeah, I used to put it in there and hide it in there. It was so cute, in the cute little Game Boy box, and I have all the cute little passwords. But yeah, otherwise, you know, if you say, yeah, you can use save state as well if you're using a modern or type of device with emulators on it. So you can go about that one way or another. It is what it is. Otherwise, it's time to get cold. It's time to be cool and head on to Iceman, where we can electrocute the SOB with our new weapon. Woohoo! Ah, yes, Iceman, one of the more chill levels in the game. Okay, sorry. Well, yes, you slip around on the ice, big surprise. You may remember that from Mega Man 1. The song is the same, but in Game Boy form, and you have a lot of the similar floating around enemies. Remember the green guys in Mega Man 1? You have the clouds in the background the sky is like white and the clouds are gray, because of, again, the black and white effect. And the mountains in the background, which remind me of Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Of course, the ice block platforms melt when you step on them, so yeah, unfortunately you have to worry about that. The fastest way to get rid of the toothpaste guys on the ground, it's kind of like a toothpaste opening or whatever with, I don't know, it looks like toothpaste coming out, like worm type thingies. Elect Man, yep, kills him in one hit, the Elect Shot or whatever it's called. Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, this game is pretty generous with the energy pellets, where you can, there's the energy tanks and the weapon capsules. Okay, I always say it wrong. So the energy pellets and the weapon capsules. They're generous with the capsules for sure. Energy pellets, they're decent. You also get a part with falling ice that you don't see, but that you have to use as platforms after it falls. So that's kind of the key. You have to wait for it to fall first, otherwise you'll get hit. So yeah. Let me tell you, when you go up to the next screen, you have to time the ice, like your jumps and everything, to be able to actually be... you're going to probably have to go down and let the ice reset a couple of times in order to finally figure out what the heck to do with letting the ice pile up so you can get across the spikes without hitting them. Jump across the spikes. So you basically let the ice build up to a point that you can, jump across. but you have to you have to be out of the way as well. So it's a pain to figure out, but it's not that hard. Unless you're really good or really lucky, you're probably going to get hit by the falling ice at least once in order to execute it correctly. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck to a point the ice is piled up too high that you can't reach it, and you got to start over by leaving the screen and coming back. It definitely becomes a bit of an endurance round as you try to get past those toothpaste guys. Basically, you end up having to use the electric bolt in order to even get through because they're too short. So it's not easy. You got to really time things well in order to have a real shot at not only getting to Iceman but beating him. And it's funny how stingy some of these enemies become. Right when you think, oh yeah, the game's kind of generous with energy and weapon capsules. Nah, it gets stingy as hell when you need it most. Welcome to video games, right? And if you're lucky enough and get some energy pellets along the way, especially a large one in my case, absolutely blessed. You get to you get to Iceman, you feel like $1 million seeing that Dr. Wily logo. So, unfortunately, Iceman's blocks that he shoots at you are very, very strong, but he doesn't move very quickly, and electric does a ton of damage. You can kill him in 3 hits as long as you actually make contact. So, that is the awesome part. Nice to be done with that one. The level's kind of a pain in the butt. I was expecting disappearing and reappearing platforms, but apparently they are, well, okay, it's called Ice Slasher. But yeah, that's Mega Man 1. So yes, you get your password and la-da-da. It's up to you if you want to do that, otherwise save state in this case. So our next order of business is, of course, Fireman. So instead of fighting fire with fire, we're going to fight fire with ice. Makes sense. Oh boy, infamous Fireman. Remember how hard Fireman was in Mega Man 1? Yeah, well, it's not much easier here. So, well, kind of similar approach. In a lot of ways, you're going to have those little flame pillars coming out and you can freeze them. That's going to kind of be one of the ongoing things in this level, no doubt. Then you have the Fry Guy looking characters coming out of the vents, coming down to kill you. That's always fun when you're dealing with platforms and having to time everything just right. So yeah, it's not one of the easier levels of the game, no. Let me tell you, timing your shot when you're trying to freeze the pillars of flame is a real headache as well because, I don't know, it seems to move too quick. And yeah, when it's too high and you can't get by, great, it's really helpful. Also, not to mention the Castlevania effect. Every time you get hit, you get kind of pushed back. Yeah, be careful. As you get further in the level, there's a part where you can freeze a fire pillar that's coming out of the wall. It's like a side in order for you to get to higher platforms, which will lead you to a large energy pellet. So kind of worth it if you're able to time everything correctly. Either way, you're going to have to freeze that pillar to continue anyway. So, do it and then do it again. Yay. As you get further and further, you get to a really weird looking thing where it's like a flame just kind of coming out of nowhere. It's like I don't know. Yeah, whatever it is. It moves so fast and repeats and all that stuff, you pretty much have to freeze it. So, yeah, freeze it and stuff. Continue forward, and then it happens again. And the next level, that one you may not have to freeze if you move quick enough. And it feels like this level's never going to end, unfortunately. But that's kind of how it goes sometimes. Wow. And then you make one mistake after another. After that, it pretty much becomes an endurance round of like those flame-throwing robots. Unfortunately, they take several hits, and I don't know. Like, hopefully you're able to get to Fireman with a decent amount of energy, because this game does not have energy tanks. Interestingly, when you get to the door with the Dr. W thing, the sign, whatever. This one's actually blinking, so I don't know if it's because it's fireman stage or what, but seems more of a celebrity this time around because he's on fire, right? Right? Anyhow, fireman it is. Boss music returns. Come on, you love firemen, right? Well, I like firemen, I guess, in a way. Good thing that ice shot is pretty strong. It's not that strong. It takes about 5 hits, I think. I think it was 5 hits. It felt like it. It was either 5 or 6, but he's not too hard. If you have enough energy, you can just kind of stand there and take the hits. I guess that's kind of the only way to go. And you get that cute screen where you can see inside half and all that. So we got the Firestorm. Sounds like something from Tales of Destiny, which I often play this time of year. So all that's left is cut, man. Time to cut things up. Well, let's, I don't know, let's get cutting and stuff. Make note, I like this music. I like the music in this level. It's very interesting. You get those, well, what end up later on in future games, like Metal Man, those buzzsaw-looking characters. Those basically be your weapons with Metal Man later on. Early on, you're going to be timing your movements and such. You also have an opportunity to get a 1-up if you're so fortunate to reach it, and be patient enough to reach it and such, dealing with the one-way escalator and having to kill that stupid buzzsaw, which is really a buzz kill. I know, I'm real funny. There is an easy way to dispatch of the buzzsaws, if we can call them that. Buzzsaw, bots, whatever the heck they are. Just kind of don't approach them. Just kind of when you see them and you hear that sound, just stay in your position and far away and kill them. That's the best way to handle it. Otherwise, I don't know, you're going to probably get hit at some point because it takes several hits to kill them and they move pretty quick. Ah, the satisfaction though when you actually get that 1-up. Oh my gosh, it feels so good. Those really short enemies that you can't hit. In the past, you think of having to use the cut weapon. Well, yeah, you do. The cut boomerang, but you don't have it. Good thing is the electric bolt does work though. So yes, kills them in 1 hit. So use that instead. Yeah. Electric bolt is also very effective against those ceiling, bullet thingies, the spinning ceiling cannons, basically, and the ones that come out of the floor as well. It's the same thing, but some come out of the ceiling, some come out of the floor. Kills them in 1 hit, or is it 2 as they're getting electrocuted more than once? Yeah. Then the Pac-Man looking characters, which I guess are kind of like cut boomerangs, they are indestructible from my knowledge. If I'm incorrect, I apologize, but with the weapons I have, I can do no damage. So you got to kind of work your way around them, especially when you have the, well, see, they move in a predictable circular motion, so you can kind of stand in the middle to avoid them. Well, you end up dealing with the double trouble of the buzzsaws as well. So you have to kind of stand and shoot. That's kind of a fun and tough battle at the same time. Whew. And then when you finally mercifully get to the Cutman battle room, if we can call it that, the instead of the Dr. W part flashing, it's the background of the Dr. W sign flashing. Okay, so that's interesting to say the least. It's definitely not going to be an easy battle, especially if your power's been depleted from the previous robots and such. So, but yeah, the fire does do effect. It's not the best, but it does effect, especially as you get close to them, I guess. Should I play the boss song again? Sure, especially since this is like the last regular boss, I guess. Anyhow, most of the damage occurs when he's up close to you and it's like a fire shield, wrapping around you. He runs into that over and over and over again. That's when the real damage happens. Otherwise, you get the rolling cutter. I don't know why I used to think it was a boomerang. And then you get carry, which is, well, it's kind of like the RushNet, the version of RushNet, maybe that magnifying, that magnet-like platform you got in Mega Man 1. That's pretty much what that is, at least from my knowledge. And then similar to Mega Man 1, you see Dr. Wily in the middle. Ooh. So, yeah, let's take on Dr. Wily in a battle, if humanly possible. But first of all, I'm just kind of working my way around. Sorry. So, yeah, once you selected, the whole screen flashes. Dr. Wily flies off in his UFO-looking thing. And then you get to see a level that looks awfully similar to the Dr. Wily Castle in Mega Man 3. At least I think it does. The music is absolutely awesome, so do check that out and enjoy. So, the carry item, it's basically like item 1 in Mega Man 1. Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's a floating platform. That's pretty much all it is. It looks fancy and everything, but it just kind of floats in one place, and it hangs there for a certain amount of time. So if you screw up, you're going to lose some, energy from it, and that's a bad thing. So the key to get the 1-up, basically jump, and then, obviously equip the carry, jump, press it, and you should be high enough to jump from the carry platform to get the 1-up at the beginning of this Wily stage, and get the heck off the screen as soon as possible so it's, it'll stop sucking the power off of the carry weapon. Eventually you get to an area where you see those worm-like robot things, and you pull out the cut. You pull out the cut weapon basically to attack those. It's like a boomerang effect. You can really power up things if you need to here too, and you can also get hit too. So yeah, time yourself. Hope to get some energy pellets along the way, and if needed, weapon capsules to fill up the cut as you're using it. Maybe too much, like me. So there's that. But yeah, that's where this place is kind of convenient and kind of annoying at the same time. Once you get through all that, you start falling. You want to keep to the right, otherwise you avoid getting electrocuted or killed with spikes, because spikes kill you in one hit in this game. It's kind of mean. After that, you get to kind of a big room, and you just kind of take your time. There's a jumping crazy soldier guy, and then just some hard hats. Nothing too scary, really, at the end of the day in this area. And there's another deal when you're falling. Try your best to keep to the right, otherwise it's a one-hit death type of deal with the spikes, which is, it's ridiculous.
you're probably going to need carry to even get to that, get it far enough right, because the fall is pretty short and you're pretty much screwed otherwise. You get to another worm area. This one's a little more complicated, robot worms where you can build up with you can build up your cut, whatever. So that's always a wonderful thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously take your time, be smart about it, this and that. So, and you might get super lucky and get an extra guy. There's always that possibility as well. After that, it's up to you if you want to go for the extra guy with the carry item. Maybe not a bad idea, but I don't know. Otherwise, you take you fall into a room where you have the 4 different capsules where you will fight Mega Man 2 bosses. The upper left-hand capsule is Quick Man. I recommend using ice there, so that's probably your best bet. Really, you can use fire or ice, but the other items don't work, and the regular shot just doesn't do enough damage. Actually, no, check that. Go to Flashman first. He's in the lower right-hand corner, or left-hand corner, sorry, and use ice on Flashman. Go to Flashman first, because you do get the items from these guys, unlike other games where you actually don't. So you do get the items from these characters, so then you can use Time Stopper on that stupid Quick Man. Flashman, he constantly tries to crowd you, and if you run into him, you lose a lot more damage than if you get shot, basically. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, so just kind of try to stay airborne and moving as much as you can. Get away from him and fire away. Otherwise, you do get the items in this game. I almost forgot about that. You do get the weapons part of it. You get Time Stopper, so now you can go after Quick Man above Flash Man there on the left-hand side. And similar to Mega Man 2, the Time Stopper part of me takes about half of Quick Man's power, and then you just shoot him with your regular shots. It's not great, but it works. Yeah, the Time Stopper, though, eating up half of Quick Man's power is a game changer, no doubt. And then you get the Quick Boomerang, and you go to Bubble Man next, who is on the upper right-hand side. With the Quick Boomerang, you attack, what's-his-face? You attack Bubble Man with that. And then we take on Heat Man. The heat is on. The heat is on. Of course, you use the bubble on him to take care of him, just like in Mega Man 2. The bubble lead. I don't know, it's bubbles. And upon defeating Heat Man, you feel a heck of a lot better. You defeat him exactly the way you defeat him in Mega Man 2, where he puts up his fire shield and dashes at you. You jump over him. He's vulnerable for a few seconds, and then you pelt him with the bubble light, and it does a lot of damage. And then we get Atomic Fire. Ooh, that sounds pretty good. Well, yeah, it's Atomic Fire. It's atomic, all right. Well, now we're going to end up fighting somebody called Anchor. I don't remember him as well as I thought I did, but yeah. Wily's right-hand bot of this game. He was your Mega Buster. Yeah, but he's easy apparently, so that's the good part. So just use the Mega Buster and get ready for the final stage, but obviously fight Anchor first and all of that good stuff. So basically with Anchor, he's a guy with a sword. When he puts his sword up, your Buster shots go to his sword and damage him, and then he swooshes it out, and then it's like a wave coming at you, like a power wave or whatever, so you got to jump over that, and rinse and repeat, and eventually you'll defeat Anchor, and so on and so forth. The best way to probably take out Anchor is to stay semi near the middle. Maybe he'll jump over you, or you'll have enough time to jump over him if he just kind of charges at you. Because sometimes he jumps, sometimes he charges. Sometimes he kind of does like a little hoppy jump, or he jumps like all the way across the screen, where he'll just flat out jump over you if you're in the center, and you can stay out of the range of his sword and that wave attack. But beating Anchor, yep, it's satisfying. You can move on. You get something called the Mirror Buster, which is essential, obviously, to beat the game, from my memories. It's been a long time, but a very long time. So now Dr. Wily exits his castle, so that whole level was just that, the castle was that whole one level. That's kind of funny. So now he kind of goes up to more of a space station type of a level, which is quite interesting, and that will be leading towards the final level of the game, and a pretty cool song. A very nice song it is. And now we're basically up in space, like I was saying, a space station. You have a hyperactive soldier type of guy to open things out that you gotta get rid of, and so on and so forth. It looks kind of like Mario at the beginning, and a little bit of hard hats and all that cute stuff. Try to do the best you can to work your way through it. It's not too intimidating early on, but believe me, it's going to get harder and harder as you venture forward. You'll also come up to ice blocks that you can't get to right away. The trick there is, if it's a trick at all, is to, use the carry to get to the top. The ice melts from your, machine warmth, body heat, whatever the hell it's called. You're a machine, even though you're an android. You're kind of like a living machine, basically. Yeah. You know what's frustrating about this level? I mean, really frustrating. What used to drive me nuts back in the day was, it's like, it doesn't seem so bad. It's not too hard. And then it's just like everything starts happening at once. It's ridiculous. Like lightning in the background and, the electric bolt level. There's spikes you can fall onto, or the fan blowing at the same time. I mean, it's just like, So the level's intensity intensifies pretty quickly. And it seems like you get hit by everything in your path, even like the easy guys, like the stupid hard hats. It's like, come on. There's the double trouble effect with the fan blowing your back, the lightning bolt, and, obviously if you get blown back, you'll land on the spikes, which is an instant death. And then you get the appearing platform type of deal, where if you fall, you hit the spikes, the hesitation. Sometimes they appear quickly, sometimes they take an extra second or two. Oh, yeah. Fun level. Fun. This is why I loved it so much. But at least the music is cool. Especially the part where, you're waiting, you're like, the thing hesitates for you. The thing hesitates. It doesn't come right away. And then the next block is like really far. You have to really, be on your toes, move to the very edge of the current block you're on to jump that far. It's like, oh, man. When you're done with that area, do you breathe a sigh of relief. Oof. After that, you deal with some... You deal with the buzzsaws again. That's always nice because it's like so quick. They come at you and they take several hits, so you have to just kind of avoid them. And then another appearing, disappearing platform area. This one's definitely scary, but thankfully I have the Mega Man instincts. When you get one of the lower boxes, what do? Jump. Wait like about a second and jump, because there's going to be a box appearing right above you. If your timing is off or if you're not prepared for it, you will die. And maybe the hardest part in the whole frickin' game is the, here we go again with the Cutman level, where you have the pistachio-looking Pac-Man cut thingies that you can't destroy, and a combination of that with the buzzsaws and pits and all that. And it's really tough, really tough. Eventually, if you're fortunate enough, there's areas where you got to maneuver around with the ladders and such, and use the elect to kill the birds coming down, dropping eggs and all that cute stuff. And then eventually you get to a wall that you can't penetrate, but it looks like your weapons hit it. So the one to use is the heat atomic whatever thingy. Let it charge up all the way and blow that wall up. You can get an extra guy and a small energy pellet to fill up any damage you've taken, because I'm sure you've taken some. Although also there's an area where there's like two different paths going up or going down. Using the carry to get up to the higher threshold is worth it, yes. And then you blow up the wall again with heat. And continue down there to get some power-ups. But only for weapons, unfortunately. It'd be nice to get some energy too, wouldn't it? It's the level that just feels like it's never going to end. Ever. Every time you fall through this and you get through that and you survive this, you avoid the pits there. And then you get to an area where there's 3 of those Pac-Man, pistachio, whatever the heck, things that you can't kill, and kind of on top of each other. Oh, wow, that looks real easy. The good news is you probably only get hit once, and then you fall into the final couple battles here. There's going to be 2, but the good news is you can also pick up an extra guy as well. So that's the good part. Unfortunately, the battle music is the same as the bosses, but we'll play it anyway right here because it's Dr. Wily, at least the first version of him. Well, it's something with a big mouth that shoots out these wonderful, those wonderful buzzsaws that fly at you like 1,000 miles an hour and take several hits. Oh, I just love it. It's just wonderful. Well, yeah, keep shooting at its jaw, I guess, and damage away. You can use the atomic fire or your regular shots. Atomic fire does more damage, but it takes a minute to charge up, doesn't it? Uh-huh. And then when you kill his jaw, it's time for the final battles, and rocket on and we go. So this is where the Mirror Buster comes in, that EN, the Mirror Buster. So basically hold the B button down and stand fairly close and be careful, but hope for the best, right? Backtracking to the first of the two forms, a trick to possibly beat him a little bit, try to get is fairly close to a point where maybe he shoots the buzzsaws over you and just fire as quick as possible. That's kind of the best way to go. And you may have a real chance of beating the whole game that way, because you do have to do everything consecutively. You do not get your power filled for the final battle. It's very nice, isn't it? Very, very nice, yes. And as you keep, basically, you just keep an eye on, you can see where the shot's going to come from. You have to kind of time it, basically, by having the shield out and facing the boss, obviously facing Wily's machine with Wily in it. And yeah, just kind of keep reflecting the thing back, all while trying to avoid the claw and try to trick it to go above you or something like that. As long as it doesn't reach too far and get you. It's not an easy battle at all. But once you do beat it, oh my god, what a relief. Obviously the machine blows up, the big space station blows up, and you fly away in some rocket ship. And you get to see some cute, you get to see a ending where you get to see all the enemies. I suppose that happens quite often. Like Cutting Wheel, I guess that's what it's called. Oh god, those things suck. So enjoy the ending, listen to the music, and rock on. It's actually a really kind of a nice song for a Game Boy game. It's pretty good. Cutting Wheel, yeah, the things that don't die. That's what those Pac-Man pistachio shell looking things are. Oh my god, they're annoying. A squirm, yeah, the thing that shoots out worms and worms that are coming out of it. It's all called a squirm. Those other things are called moles. They look like sow bugs or something, like wrapped up in mummified things. Pee-pee are the birds. That's cute. Hi, Pee-pee. Or Pie. No, Pee-pee, probably. Sniper Joe, that's the guy who shoots at you. Yeah, I know. I mean, obviously I've skipped over some of them during this recording, but yeah, Big Eye instead of Big Guy, the one that jumps around you can kill with the shot. Oh, forgive me if my voice isn't so great. I haven't been, I've been under the weather a little bit, but still working my way through this episode. Oh boy, but wow, what a hard freaking game. Oh my god, I thought Mega Man 1 was hard. The first few levels weren't too bad. They're a little bit challenging, But then the last two levels, oh my God, have mercy. Really, the challenge of the game is the final level. Oh, it's just ridiculous because it doesn't end. It doesn't end. One thing after another, one difficult scenario after another. So difficulty of this is 5, definitely 5 out of 5. Graphics for this game, 4.5, kind of. It looks good. You know, it looks like a nice Mega Man game. It could be better. It could be better. It certainly could be worse. Let's just say, I don't know. The music is like a 4. We'll just say an overall 4. No, it's a 4.5 because you get the classic Mega Man music. And Capcom always does a wonderful job. It's just weird hearing it into a Game Boy form, I suppose. The replay value is like a 3 or 2. It's 2.5. You beat this game and you're like, okay. Like, after reviewing this now, I may never play this game again. I don't know. That's how hard the last level is. It's so frustrating. It's so stupid. Even Enker, who like some of the players guys like on GameFAQs say, he's the easiest guy ever. He is? I didn't think he was that easy. He wasn't that easy. To some of you, maybe he is. Maybe I'm just an idiot and I can't figure stuff out. But I don't know. That was hard. Very, very. This is one of those games, though, like, once you do beat it, I don't know if you're going to want to play it again. You might not. But, yeah, replay value 2.5, we'll say. The ending is fine. I think they did a pretty good job with the ending for a Game Boy game. At least they didn't let you down there. And Mega Man games usually have a decent ending. Thank you for playing, presented by Capcom. That sounds very familiar. This game does bring back wonderful memories because I got it right after the Twins won the World Series, so back in 1991. And who'd have thunk here I'd be 45 years old making a review here in 2024, November, reviewing this game 33 years later. Twins haven't won anything since then. In fact, they haven't been back to the World Series. They went to one American League Championship Series 10 years later, only to get trounced by the Anaheim Angels. Oh, the Anaheim Angels. That franchise is a joke pretty much, except that one year when they won it all. They beat the Giants in a 7-game series, San Francisco Giants. So Barry Bonds never got a World Series championship. This game brings me back to the good old days of 91, that Christmas season of 91, 92. So it's like leading into Christmas, and we're going to have a Christmas special. Like, once again, it's going to be an original 6. You can probably guess which one. You can maybe guess. Obviously, I've already done Spy Hunter. Have I done any of the others? Trying to think. Yes, Breakthrough. I did that last year, and it wasn't even during Christmas, which was kind of silly. Trying to think in my head. Nope, that's it. So, yeah, 2 of the original 6 are completed. And, of course, there's plenty of other Christmas specials that I will be doing in the future. I think, heck, wasn't Mega Man 2 a Christmas special a few years back? So it was 2 years ago already when I started doing this show. I've been doing this show for 2 years already. Wow. Obviously, it was created in 2008, but sat dormant forever and ever and ever. I know I've brought that up like every 10 minutes, and I apologize. But it's still weird to see a show come out of dormancy about 14 years. It's like an egg that didn't hatch, and then, but it didn't die either. It just needed to be germinated, and then, like an old seed kept in a pyramid or something. You could still grow stuff from like 1,000 years ago. It's kind of almost like that, but maybe not 1,000 years. It'd be like you have the seed that's been sitting in a drawer for 15 years, and it's still germinated. Wow, it's nice. It's nice. It's taking forever to grow because there's 9 billion other video game podcasts out there. Whether they're better or worse, I don't know. It's up to you, actually, the listener, to decide on that. But I'd like to believe that I'm bringing you a quality product here. So, yeah, it's just cool. But again, hard to believe it's already been 2 years now. 35th episode here with Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. Ugh, hardest bleeping game. And you know what makes this game so hard? Do you know what makes it so hard? No energy tanks. That's why, just like Mega Man 1. If you had energy tanks, it's probably beatable. Like the last boss, it'd probably be quite beatable. Like you figure out the pattern a little bit. It's, you're still going to get hit, but that's the whole point. And if you've been saving up energy tanks for a little bit, maybe you'd have a better time beating the level. And you'd be okay. Maybe you could use one on Enker if you needed to, rather than dying 15 times. I didn't die that many times, but I didn't beat him on the first try. Okay? I didn't beat Wily on the first try. But the good news is, as long as you have extra guys built up over the course of time, like there's one right before the final boss, Dr. Wily, whatever in his machines, you continue there in the final boss unless it's final battle, unless it's a game over. So hopefully you avoid that. Thankfully I did in the final battle. Was able to get the pattern down, because how many times have I faced off against Dr. Wily in this game? Only one other time, and that was like 2008-ish when I got it, when I put it on the Wii emulating, and I kind of save stated my way through that one. It's hard. But I was able to beat Mega Man 2 on Game Boy. 3 I've never beaten. 4, no. I just didn't get that far. And 4 I hardly ever played. 5, for some strange reason, I played all the way through and beat that one. Like all just, it was awesome. I don't know if I had a player's guide. I don't think I did. Like, this was way back in the day when I was, with Mega Man 5 on Game Boy. That was way back in the day, in the kind of 94, 95-ish. My parents weren't letting me play video games because my grades weren't really good at the time. And I hid the Game Boy under the bed in a certain place where they wouldn't think about it. I was able to hide it. Actually, it wasn't even under the bed. It was in another spot. And I was just managing to survive tough battle after tough battle, and I beat it somehow. I don't even know. I was just on a mission that night, after obviously working my way through the game over the course of time. But I'll save that story for when I actually play through it, because absolutely I'll be reviewing that one, because that's got a nice memory. Mega Man 2 I'll definitely be reviewing, the Game Boy version. And of course I will be reviewing all of the 6 Mega Man games at some point on the NES. So all 5 on the Game Boy will be reviewed at some point as well. I solemnly promise that. As long as I'm alive and well to do it, I'll be doing them. I don't have any contract or anything telling me I can't. So contractual agreement to something saying I can't. Now that I've rambled on forever, I'd like to give you guys a chance to give your opinions about this game as well. It'd be great to hear from you. Not sure how many people have played this, but I would think a good number of you have. It was the very first portable version of a Mega Man game. And it was Mega Man 1 kind of, sort of, in the first part of the game. And unfortunately, the Mega Man 2 part was very disappointing. Yeah, you'd get the weapons and stuff from Quick Man, Heat Man. What are they all called? Quick Man, Heat Man, Flash Man, and Bubble Man. You're able to battle all of them, but you didn't get the levels, and you didn't get the level music. So that was really disappointing in a lot of ways. But at least you got to fight them, I suppose. Mega Man 2 will be a little bit weird, but it has its own appeal, and we'll get to that one very shortly. It definitely is weird. I may review that one coming up sometime in 2025. Obviously, this is the second last game of the year, at least I'm pretty sure, for, yes, it is, for Video Game Flashback. So with that, I'm not going to announce the upcoming game until the very end of the show. So with that, it's time to hear from you out there in the feedback segment. And we are back here on Video Game Flashback, the Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge for Game Boy review. Well, unfortunately, the feedback segment's going to be a bit sparse in terms of actual feedback from people, so that's unfortunate. I don't know. I guess it's a game not many people played. Derek Felska, always appreciate him jumping on board, and does a great job with the Crease Assist podcast, talking about the Minnesota Wild, in case you're interested in hockey locally in Minnesota. Of course, Video Game Flashback is a national national to international type of show. So obviously it might not be local to Minnesota, even though I hail from Minnesota, and yes, we're Minnesota Wild fans here. So yes, check that show out. And Brave the Wild, I also do that show. So both of us do hockey shows about the Minnesota Wild. Derek does an awesome job and has been a great writer forever as well with the Crease and Assist blog. So anyhow, Derek jumps in and says, I never owned a Game Boy and only played a handful of games on the system when I got a few chances to play on my cousin's or friend's system. So I never played Mega Man, Dr. Wily's Revenge. Sorry. Hashtag VG Phoebe. So like hashtag video game flashback. That's the hashtag to keep things organized just in case people start to interact with this show. I know you're out there. I don't know if it's just you don't want to say anything. Hopefully there's listeners to the show. I know there are actually. There's some numbers. And in some cases it fluctuates. It depends on which game we're reviewing. So this one probably didn't generate a whole lot of, obviously a whole lot of feedback. Maybe I gotta think people out there played this game, but maybe it's just kind of past them. They didn't really like it very much. It was probably like the black sheep of the Game Boy Mega Man releases. Arguably though, Mega Man 2 might be a black sheep because, spoiler alert, they changed the music on that. So like say the Airman song is not the Airman song in Mega Man 2. It's a different song. But also, spoiler alert, and we'll talk about that in about a year. This might be a tradition, like November is going to be like Mega Man month. It just kind of is. I think that's going to be a tradition. Like it's going to be either, well, except for one exception, which I might be doing early in 2025, and I'll keep that secret for now. It'll quite possibly, yeah. Well, I better not even hint at it yet. But at least for the Game Boy versions, I might do those in November. Possibly, but the good news is, there's 8 more Mega Man games to review. Got 4 more on the Game Boy. We're going to go through all of the Game Boy ones, and we're going to go through all of the NES ones. So far I've reviewed Mega Man 1 and 2 on the NES. Mega Man 2 is the first Mega Man game I ever released, and it's been one of the most successful reviews on Video Game Flashback, and I kind of figured it would be. It was kind of the Christmas special that year. But yeah, I like to keep them around November, December-ish for Mega Man games, but one of them is going to be an exception just because it has a slightly different vibe. And we'll talk about it when I do that review, and I'm not going to spoil anything on that. But it will be happening probably early 2025. And leave it as that. As for this one, yes, I need to get better about being more detailed about my reviews when it comes to ratings, is what I'm trying to say. So the overall gameplay, it's going to be a 1 through 5 system. The overall gameplay of this one is a 3.5. It can be insanely frustrating, but still it has that Mega Man vibe. Unfortunately, the lack of energy tanks is extremely, it's just, I don't know, I think that it's just an annoying thing to not be able to refuel your power on the fly. It's a pain in the butt. And you finally eventually get a secondary item to kind of help you get to a higher place, like a higher ledge or anything. There's no rush jet. There's no jet item of any kind. Like Mega Man 2, there was no rush yet. Like there was no rush, but there was a jet item. It was item 2. I remember item 3 would climb up the walls, and item 1 was a simple platforming item, which is basically what Carry is in this game. Mega Man 1 had that magnetic platform thing. Basically is what it was. It was a magnetic platform in Mega Man 1, and that's kind of similar to Carry, I guess. But that one you could fire quicker and all that. The Carry is not real good. The graphics on it are actually impressive. But overall, though, the controls with Carry, the item you can use to get to a higher place, a higher platform, kind of crappy. So the overall gameplay on this is a 3. I'm not even going to say 3.5. I'm going to drop it to a 3. It's one of the weakest games, probably the weakest of the entire, of all. Let's say, yeah, so there's 5 Game Boy games and 6 Nintendo, like NES. So of all of 11, so far, I think it might have the worst gameplay of all of them. Mega Man 1 had, mediocre gameplay. I mean, but then again, it's classic enough. It's above average. The music was freaking awesome in that game. I remember the music being a 5 and the graphics also were a 5 on Mega Man 1 for the time because it was extremely old. This one is 1991. Did it translate to the Game Boy? Yes, kind of. And they kept, the good news is how they kept the Fireman, Cutman, Yeah, Fireman, Cutman, Iceman, and not Quickman, and Electman songs all in the game. They did a pretty damn good job, especially Electman. That's going to give the music a 5. Simply because the Electman alone, they did such a good job. I was thinking of making it a 4. No, it's a 5. It's a 5 when you consider it's the Game Boy. You know, I mean, you think we're going like a serious level or two down in terms of music on this, but from like the Nintendo to the Game Boy, but considering it's the Game Boy, it's a 5. They did an awesome job. So they deserve a lot of credit for that. Them being Capcom and the creators of this game. The replay value is a 2 because it's so freaking frustrating. You don't really want to play it again. Like, yes, I beat it. Awesome. Well, I played it again to do the review. Yeah, I pretty much had planned years ago when I finally beat it, like fricking around with it basically. I was like, yeah, that's it. I finally beat this stupid ass game and I'm done. That's it. But then it's like, you know what? I got to do a review of this one because the music is good, and I hope you enjoyed the music in this. I hope you enjoyed the music in this game review. That's kind of what I try to do, is to give you a feel of just how enjoyable the games can be with the music at the very least, even though the game itself might stink. Replay value is a 2, gameplay is a 3, music is a 5. Graphics are about they're adequate. Again, the Game Boy, you gotta kind of put that into perspective. I think they did an okay job. I'll give them like a 3.5 for the graphics. Maybe I'm thinking 4 to 3.5. 4 is maximum. Again, the gameplay, I'm trying to think of anything else. Sound effects, I think, if we're going to go with sound effects versus music, the sound effects are not real good in this one. It sounds just too cute, too cheap. It sounds cheap. Like a crappy computer, like remember the really crappy DOS version of Mega Man? It was just awful. It's kind of like that almost. The sound effects are really crappy, except for like the electric sounds pretty good. Like they did a great job on that. Like the lightning of the electric bolts, they did a great job on that. It sounds just like Mega Man 1. But like the Mega Man shots, it's tweet, 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 tweet. Like, what is this? It sounds like little Tweety birds. Tweet, 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 tweet. And then when you get killed, it's you. Like, okay, that's kind of weak. So sound effects on this are 2.5, not that great. So we're going to go with that. So again, I'm going to try to be more consistent about putting out a rating system for these. Again, 1 through 5. I haven't given a 1 for anything yet that I can think of. But maybe Breakthrough should be a 1 in terms of challenge. It's like just for overall challenge is like a 1. Okay, so for challenge for this game is a 5. Duh. It's an absolute 5. 1943 is a 5. Mega Man 1 is a 5. Castlevania 1. It's either 4.5 or a 5. I'll just say 5. I mean, all those games. Castlevania 2, the challenge is not that hard. It's mostly just the confusion, and that kind of goes into the gameplay a bit. Challenge is like, with the jumping is annoying, so we'll say like a 3. Frustration factor, I almost should put that one in there too. Frustration factor is a 5, yes. It's a frickin' 5 because, again, no energy tanks. And some of the jumps you have to really stretch far. So I want to try to, again, add some of this stuff. Frustration factor is a 5 on this game, a 5, which is the top. So with that, okay, well, again, this is going to try to be a tradition here, release some Mega Man games in November. Will it be Mega Man 2 on Game Boy or an NES release next November? We'll see. It'll either be Mega Man 2 or a NES release a year from now when we do this. It's kind of like the Thanksgiving special, Veterans Day to Thanksgiving-ish special, you could say, when it comes to the release of these Mega Man games in November. So, because Mega Man looks like a hockey player, and November kind of is like when hockey really starts to pick up. It just feels like hockey more than, say, October, when the NHL season actually starts, and Gopher hockey, college hockey starts and all that. Mega Man looks like a hockey player. I've always thought that the helmet combined with the kind of breezer area and then the long leg thing look, he looks like a hockey player. He does. Do you agree or disagree? Like, come on, tell me you agree with me. He looks like a hockey player. Even has that kind of that, glass or plastic fiberglass visor in front of him as well, like a hockey player, at least in some versions, some art and such. Other than that, though, are we ready for the next release? Because it's going to be this one. If it doesn't generate some type of feedback, I don't know. Like, come on. Like, is anybody out there? Like, hello? Like, am I just talking in a cave to like one or two people or what? Are you ready for this release? It is going to be one of the original 6, which means it's a Christmas special, of course. The next game is a Christmas special, and we're going to do Christmas specials every year for the rest of time. As long as I'm cognate enough to do video game flashback, I'm going to keep doing this show. Probably the rest of my life, if possible. God willing. Probably. Yep, I just made that statement. I think I've made that statement in previous episodes in the past, but because why the hell not? You know? Dang it. I don't mind doing this at age 70, talking about video games, you know, that Super Mario 3, you know, you got the raccoon suit, it's awesome, you know, you can turn into a statue and, you know, it's good stuff. Okay, sorry. Speaking of that, an original 6 game. You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, the first hit in the history of the Nintendo Entertainment System. The game that came with the Nintendo Entertainment System for many years. Super Mario Brothers. Not 2 or 3, but Super Mario Brothers. That game will be the next game reviewed on Video Game Flashback. Please give feedback for this one, just in case you're listening. No matter anybody. And I will be posting out a bat signal, hopefully early enough. And if you did post something, believe me, I got it. As long as you have the hashtag VGFB in there, I'll see it easily. No matter what. Heck, I'll probably see it in notifications anyway. But hashtag VGFB is the best way to go to keep things chronologically organized. So if you already posted something and then I put out the bat signal later, it's not because I missed it. So you don't have to duplicate. I think that happened once. And that's okay. I'm not mad at anybody if there's a duplicate. But you don't have to duplicate. You don't have to think, oh crap, you didn't get what I said. So no, I did get it one way or another, and yeah. So say if you post like a your feedback about Super Mario Brothers before I put out the bat signal, because usually when I put out the bat signal, that's a sign that I'm getting really close to wrapping up the review. So it's like, yeah, let's get feedback segment going here. Let's get some feedback going. I usually don't put it out too early intentionally, because maybe it's like a few weeks until the show comes out from start to finish. Sometimes it's months, but probably not this time of year. In the summer, it could be months, or who knows? Like say if it's the beginning of summer or middle of spring, it could be months. You never know, depending on how things go. Like last year was this last summer was stupid at the beginning. It was way too wet, and I couldn't keep up with things, and I was too tired to give a crap. And my wife's schedule, she was kind of here more than I wanted. So it's like, I don't know, when there's nobody here, I tend to do just better to making these kind of shows, even though there's ways around this and there's ways around that. But off mic conversation that you don't need to hear, so I better get off of that. But yeah, Super Mario Brothers, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to do this as the first review way back, going back to combat, but I was like, nah, not right out of the gate. Let's let this simmer for a little while. Well, the simmering has completed. This thing is ready to go into a full-on boil into Super Mario Brothers, episode 36 of Video Game Flashback. Let me know what you think. So, happy Thanksgiving to anybody that might be listening before Thanksgiving, possibly on Thanksgiving, or if not, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, and maybe you're listening to this 5 years from now in the middle of summer, whatever it is. But yeah, this tends to be a release, in the month of Thanksgiving called November, when it comes to Mega Man games. So that's probably going to be a tradition for a while. Obviously not forever, but for a while. With that said, so now I'll stop my babbling with this long ending here, outro to the show. Just want to, hope you had a good Thanksgiving and all of that, or depending on what time of year you're listening to this, hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think of the show. Put a 5-star rating if you could. It'd be greatly appreciated. Final thing, you could also get on the show via audio submission. Simply pick up your smart device and open the free voice recording app that every smart device has, or download a free app, whatever the heck. Or you could use your laptop with free editing software, whatever, that are all over the place, like Audacity and others. Simply record it, start talking like you're talking to me,
Joey, I really like Super Mario Brothers. I got that for Christmas in 1988. And it was a game changer. It was, my God, I didn't realize just how fun of a game it really was. You know, it was hard and it was a pain in the butt for a while, but once I got the hang of it, damn, it was fun. That's a prequel to something too. But but yeah, it'd be great to hear from you. Then when you're done, you send it to palladinolive@yahoo.com. palladinolive@yahoo.com. I would then convert it into an MP3 file. Thanks to cloudconvert.com. I really appreciate the service they give me, so I'm more than happy to give them a free plug. Also, there is a donate button, a support or a donate link or support link in the show description or show notes. So you can donate as cheap as 99 cents. I think it's anywhere from 99 cents up to $4.99. It could be a single donation. It could be a monthly recurring donation, but it'd be great. It could help keep this show kind of make it more worth my while. Also, again, possible repairs that need to be made or replacements to equipment that need to be made. So would really appreciate that. Anybody that's willing to contribute as low as 99 cents, appreciate it. Until next time, take care and stay retro.